Hi friends, how are you all? Welcome back to Soulful Knowledge. In my channel, I'm posting regarding Kundalini awakening and spiritual awakening. So if you're interested in this, you can follow my channel. And I'm posting in two languages, in Tamil as well as in English. So if you wanted to check only in English version, you can check my playlist, Soulful Knowledge English. Today I'm going to tell about the dark night of the soul. So if you see in many spiritual awakening channels or many people telling about dark night of the soul. So today I'm going to talk about that thing. So already in my previous videos I've spoke about heartbreak and also the 9 stages of spiritual awakening. So after heartbreak, the second stage is about the dark night of the soul. So it is also known as the isolation stage. So my last video was about this dark night of the soul, but it was in Tamil version. So almost like it happened 2 weeks. So before 2 weeks, I posted this video. So every time, like immediately after posting the Tamil version, the next day itself I will actually upload the English version. But it is almost 2 weeks I didn't make any videos because I've actually faced this dark night of the soul for almost for almost 2 weeks I was facing this thing. So currently I am just out of this dark night of the soul. So what is this exactly dark night of the soul? So since this Kundalini awakening or spiritual awakening, so this is like a routine thing, we have to face this. So I actually knew it is coming. This dark night of the soul will be coming. It is actually in like a cyclic manner. So every year from 2020, every year I'm facing this. So from 2020, 2021 and 2022. So few dark night of the soul will be like very mild in your lifetime. It will be very mild on 1 day or 2 day. But every year once I'm facing this and a very strong dark night of the soul. It's an elongated one, very strong. So each year it's becoming very strong and intense, but I need to face this. So what is this dark night of the soul? So it is very difficult to understand. Only people who are experiencing this, only they can able to understand this. For people who are spiritually awakened and they already knew this dark night of the soul, they will understand this, all these things. So actually what is this dark night of the soul? So really what happens is, it is like a detoxification phase. That is, if you are entering into the spiritual path or spiritual awakening, so the whole nature will try to detoxify you. That is, suppose let's say you're going to a gym training program. So before entering into that program, they'll actually detoxify your body by giving some detoxification drinks, so that it actually physically it will detoxify your intestines. So after that, entering into that gym training or fitness training, it will be more effective. So in the same way, detoxification happens in spirituality also. So if you have to go into the spiritual path or enter into the spiritual awakening, this phase is very important because it does the detoxification for your soul. So only if your soul is purified, you can enter into this spirituality or this spiritual phase. So what happens is, it's not only about purification of the soul, it's for everything, for mind, body and the soul. So all the 3 things has to be detoxified and has to be purified. So only then you can enter into this phase. So this is only known as the dark night of the soul. So this phase is actually the most terrifying phase, I would tell. It is the most fearful and most terrifying because it will be like someone is pushing you into a battlefield or pushing you into war. That is pushing you alone. You have to fight the battles alone because no one will understand around you what is actually really happening. Only you can understand it. But you have to face these things alone, face the battles alone. So dark night of the soul is something that it will bring up your darkest fears. It will bring up, so anything resistant in your life, anything if you feel fearful, it will actually bring up that in front of you, and you have to actually fight against that. You have to fight, and the fear for that, it has to be gone, and you have to overcome it. So this is what happens in dark night of the soul. Not only that, in this phase only you will understand the thing about your soul. So this actually comes after the heartbreak. So if you wanted to know the phase of the heartbreak, you can check my previous video. Only then you can understand the next stage. This comes immediately after the heartbreak. In heartbreak stage, I would have told 3 categories. In one category, that you will end up in ego based karma. So this dark night of the soul helps you to enter into spirituality. So how it helps is that it will put you to in some situation like life threatening situation. So something will be life threatening for you. So before entering into that egoistic phase, once the heart breaks, you may tend to enter into that ego based karma. So ego based karma is something that your whole life will depend on that egoistic force, and you will start to work in egoistic hatred manner to prove someone, to prove the society about yourself because of that heartbreak. But that phase is really like, it is so much of hatred in life, so much of hard work will be in your life. So without entering, so if you have a chance in spirituality, this nature or Kundalini awakening or spiritual awakening will not allow you to enter into that ego based karma. Instead, that it will change your life direction into a spiritual awakening or love based karma. So how it happens is, it will push you to some situation that your life will be threatened. That is, a illusion or maya will be created in such a way that you have to spare your life. Some disease will occur in your life, or some threatening events will happen in your life. So instead of focusing in that heartbreak or ego, what happens is your life itself will be in a shaking position, so that nature will give you a chance, give you a choice to decide that if you wanted to take the ego path or your life is very important. So obviously you will try to tend to safeguard your life, leaving that ego. So this dark night of the soul actually is helping us. So I can tell you with an example that if you see an toddler or a child while playing, what happens is it will take a toy and put in its mouth, and it will close tightly. Actually, the child is in ignorance. It will not know the consequence of that action. It may choke his throat, it may also swallow it, and it may lead to some danger situation. But the child is very playful and ignorant. It will never know what is happening. But the elders or parents around them will actually know the danger of the situation. So before the child could swallow it, what happens is the parents would get hold of the child, will grab the child forcefully, and the child will think that the parents are actually hurting them. But the truth is, the parents are trying to help the child of the danger situation, to come out of that danger situation before swallowing that toy. So what the parents will do is, they'll stick their hands inside the mouth of the toddler or the child and try to take out that toy. But the child will be in so much of anger, so much of frustration, that the child will think that parents or the elders are hurting the child, and it will become very stubborn, and it will start crying, and it will throw the tantrums. But only the parents will know that it is in a very dangerous situation, so they will just catch hold of the child and try to take off the toy from the mouth. The same situation is only actually happening in the dark night of the soul. Once a heartbreak happens, you may tend to enter into an egoistic state. Ego is something, it comes in your throat. that is, you're going to swallow that ego. Once you have swallowed, it is very difficult to come out of that egoistic phase. So before you're swallowing that, before you're getting into that egoistic phase, what happens is the nature is actually catching hold of you. Immediately it just caught you, and immediately it will actually put you in a situation to let go of that ego, to actually come into the spiritual phase. So this is only happening in the dark night of the soul. This actually, this phase may differs for it may be different for many people. The experience may be different because each one's spiritual awakening is very unique. So this phase will be very different for many of them, but this is a very, very important phase because this is like a turning point in your life. So this is the turning point for the spirituality. So what happens in my life? So according to me, what happens in my life is, so some like life threatening health issues may come, but what happens, it will comes like a tsunami, like a tornado. It will come, like it will put you a situation thinking that you're going to be deceased the life after this, you're going to decease the throughout the next phase of your life. But since the Kundalini awakening was very strong for me, it was like a nail hit in my head very strongly. I have a very strong grip on this Kundalini awakening and spiritual awakening. So I had a very strong belief system. So because of this, I knew actually what is happening. So I knew what I have to do if I'm facing this dark night of the soul. It will be like some deceased, you have been deceased, and you will have to go and you have to do the test after test, all the tests you have to do. But the thing is, no one could identify what is really happening. No one will come to a solution that this is what is it, this is what happening in your body, or some changes, it is viral or bacteria or something, because the shift is new. No one will understand what is happening. But because since I know about the spiritual awakening, I know about the Kundalini awakening, I know that energies are shifting. Because energies are rising, some changes is happening in my system, in my personality, or in both in mind and body, in physical and also in mental state. So since that, so I understand that once dark night of the soul comes to my life, it is like I need to do some changes in my life. I need to refine my life. I need to bring some discipline or some system in my life. Only if I understand in that thoughts, and only if I bring that in the practice, I can escape this dark night of the soul. But believe me, it will not put you or push you in some pit or something. It will actually, we are under the control of the nature. It will never leave you. It will never disappoint you. So this dark night of the soul will go off if you understand that some changes have to be made in your life. Some discipline activities have to become in your life. So the past 2 weeks from December, from starting of the December, I have to face this dark night of the soul. I knew this is coming because every year around October, November, December, I have to face some situation. So this is the third time I'm facing this strongest dark night of the soul. So almost 2 weeks, I've done many tests, but finally it ended up nothing is there, nothing is wrong with you. But I knew that I need to change something in my life. So I knew that I have to bring up this meditation and yoga in my life, and I have to bring up this sattvic in mostly it will be like I have to do changes for my physical body. I was too much deviated or focused in my like astral things, like in non-physical aspects, like my intuitions, illusion. I was becoming strong in that, but I lost grip in my physicality and physical body. But this dark night of the soul, actually I've understood that I have to actually maintain this physicality also. So I have to bring in some disciplines like meditation, yoga. I have to bring in some changes in my diet, changes in my food, the intaking things like sattvic food, so that I can actually maintain my physicality well, so that I can actually proceed further in my spiritual life and for work towards my purpose. So this is a great thing happening in dark night of the soul. Of course, it is very, very like life-threatening situation will happen before you, but since if you're really into this spirituality, if you knew what is happening about Kundalini awakening, you should have a strong grip in your belief system. You should understand this is just an illusion or Maya happening towards you, just your energies are shifting, so that you should actually refine yourself, discipline yourself. So I can actually understand that my previous life before the spiritual awakening and now have done so much of changes for my physicality and also for my mental benefits, non-physical benefits. So I'm actually refining myself. So even a small slightest non-spirituality is there within you, this dark night of the soul will actually squeeze you and try to take out that non-spirituality. Because entering into the spiritual path, you have to be very pure and you have to be very conscious and you have to discipline your life and you have to refine yourself. Then only you can actually enter into the next stages, or again and again in a cyclic manner, this you have to face again and again. So already I've explained about this in 9 stages of spiritual awakening. You can check that. So this dark night of the soul is actually second stage, and this actually repeats again and again because some refining should happen in your life, some discipline should bring in your life, so you can follow in rest of your throughout your life. So working towards the purpose and working towards the spirituality is it's not an easy task. It's a very, very intense task to do. So only when if you have a strong belief in this spirituality, in higher powers, in higher dimensions, if you know exactly what is happening in your Kundalini awakening, only then you can able to surpass all these phases. So I'm making this video because I can see many of them are suffering in this phase. They are actually not understanding this spirituality or Kundalini. They are actually deviating into the regular practices like taking medications or visiting doctors often, but they are not understanding that they have to change something in their life. They have to discipline themselves because the shift is happening all over the world. Everyone have to change according to the shift, otherwise the nature will not allow us. So I'm making these videos in such a way to help the people, to make them understand that if you're facing all this situation, this dark night of the soul, it is like a detoxification in your life. Okay, if you wanted to enter into this spirituality or something, spirituality is nothing different from your family life or regular life. It is something like universal process. We are going to actually work in a universal level. That is only spirituality. It's not something like different from your life. You can actually be in your family life, you can actually do your regular things, but also you can actually do an universal thing, that is cope up with the universe, so that we are entering into a betterment of our life. It is actually helping each and everyone in that whole world to make a bigger shift, so that the mess we have made in our previous generations, so we are in a situation to clean up the mess. So one example is, suppose we can see that people are suffering from diabetics or some chronic disease in their lifetime. instead of changing their lifestyle, what happens is they just depend on the medications. Understand that anything from outside, and we are taking it as a temporary relief. It is not going to help us in our life. Only if you refine your life, only if you go down to the basic and understand why did you get this diabetics or any chronic disease, if you go down to your self and understand and change your life and change your life patterns and discipline yourself, only then you're going to come out of this situation. Otherwise, like our previous generations, they have been into this situation that throughout the life they would take the medication and they will actually end up into some other side effects. So in the same way, this Kundalini awakening or spiritual awakening, this dark night of the soul, will actually put you in a fake deceased situation. It is not a, it is actually, it will be like a abnormal thing only. It will not be like a realistic deceased situation. It will be like a fake or illusion situation. When you clearly understand about that, immediately you should know that you should actually discipline yourself. You should understand what changes should be made in your life. If you change that, immediately this you can cross this dark night of the soul. So okay guys, I hope so you would have understood the basic details of the dark night of the soul, but this is actually more intense. I have just told the basic details, so maybe in future video I'll explain more about this. So if you have any doubt regarding this, or if you are facing anything based on this dark night of the soul, please share your experience so that it will be useful for me also, and also people who are unaware of this, who are actually stuck in this phase, they can actually overcome this phase without much of struggle in their life. Okay guys, hope so my video is useful for you all. So thanks for watching. So this is Shobana. Bye from Soulful Knowledge.